Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. So today I'm going to be reviewing Tracker Season 2, Episode 18. So before I get into the review, I just want to say thank you to everybody who likes my videos, subscribes to my channel, leaves me comments. I appreciate it so much. If you have any discussion questions or comments, you can leave them below. I enjoy interacting with everybody. So, getting into this episode, it was about a missing girl, Riley Adams. She's 26. Her mom, Suzanne, is the one who posted the reward, $15,000. And you kind of see her get run off the road, right? She gets hit. She gets out of the car turns around and comes back. So I was like, okay, is she kidnapped? But the car comes back to hit her. And I kind of enjoyed this episode because it kind of had a mystery to it of like, okay, where is she? Most of the tracker episodes have a mystery to it, but this one was different because I was kind of guessing as if I was watching a mystery movie because they introduced a friend of Cheryl's, being a friend since the second grade who worked with her, right? They go to her job where she last was because she was on her way home from work, was talking to her mom on the phone, said she was going to be there in 30 minutes. So it seems like she was just driving around. So, but the coworker that they see at her job, she's like, oh yeah, we're best friends. We've known each other since the second grade. And remember, Riley went to New York. She became a model. She came home just a few months ago. So she doesn't really talk about what happened in New York. So her mom thinks maybe that has something to do with it. And she's a beautiful girl. She was a model. So obviously you're thinking stalker or some crazy ex-boyfriend could have came back and harassing her or something, right? But there's just something about the friend that doesn't sit right with me. Like she's telling Coulter that they were best friends, but I don't know. I felt jealousy. I just didn't see best friend vibes, right? So they get to her locker and they find a note, and the friend's like, "Oh, what'd the note say?" Almost not like curious, but like guilty. So I definitely was suspicious of the friend. And the friend says, "Hey, a guy Todd that we work with was arguing with her." So of course they go and talk to Todd, and it's not what you think. Todd actually got into an argument with Riley because of a customer, a kind of a rude, stuck-up customer, with New York tags on his Jaguar. So some rich guy was coming in talking to Riley, and Todd kind of was thinking there was something going on, because Riley's behavior changed. So Todd wasn't like mad or upset with Riley. He was talking to Riley because he saw how her demeanor changed when this guy from New York came to talk to her. So you're like, okay, I believe Todd. I don't think there's anything going on with him. I don't think he's a part of it. He was like, yeah, he was really stuck up. He threw his little fancy coffee cup in our weeding pot. So Coulter gets the cup, and I'm like, okay, they're going to test it for DNA, but they find that the coffee cup came from a fancy hotel right outside of town, right? 'Cause it's a small town. So he goes to the hotel, sees the car, right, parked out front. They have valet, but he sees that the car is kind of beat up. So we're like, okay, was that the car that hit Riley? Like, okay, maybe we're on to something. The car belongs to Vincent Rourke. So Coulter finds him, they kind of fight, and he says, look, I never want to hurt her. I'm the father of her child. So now we find out Riley's pregnant. Her mom doesn't know, right? Obviously, Shaw tells the mom doesn't know, but Vincent explains the damage to his car, right? And I tend to believe him. So yeah, he might be a stuck-up snob from New York, but I don't think he has anything to do with it either. However, I'm still suspicious of the friend because I don't believe that they were best friends. And the footage that shows damaging the car, it looks like a woman. They do a close up of it and they find out it's Cheryl. So Cheryl is damaging Vincent's car. So this is the friend that I was kind of suspicious of the first time we saw her. So I'm like, why would she take her though? Like if she I don't know the motive. I was just suspicious of her. So throughout this episode, you see and meet up with a woman detective, Detective Douglas, and she's a friend of the family. She knows the mom, she knows Riley, and Culture Shaw was like, well, we think it was Cheryl. We need to go to her house. And Detective Douglas basically tells Coulter, like, they're not best friends, right? Cheryl copied everything Riley did was a tag along, almost like a idolized, Riley. So they weren't friends, but she kind of was jealous and was a tag along, just wanting to be around her. So then I'm like, okay, this is making more sense. But what's the motive? And did Cheryl know Riley was pregnant? Because does that play into it? So you get to Cheryl's house, and you find Riley's car in the garage with the smashed phone on the seat. So we're like, okay. They go in, they find that she died. She slit her wrist. She committed suicide. And then in blood, she wrote, Riley is mine forever. So to me, it just doesn't sit right because where is Riley? And we find out the letter we found in the locker is her. She has a journal of how she's in love with Riley. But it just doesn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, this is staged somehow because why would she take Riley and then commit suicide? If all she wanted was Riley, she got her, right? So I'm like, this just doesn't make sense to me. So they do get a lead, which is a couple, a man and a woman, Harper. The husband's in construction and the wife is a nurse. So as soon as I heard the wife is a nurse, I'm like, okay, then do they know about the baby, or at least she's going to be safe knowing that the wife can care for her? But what's the motive? Like, I don't understand. So then you see Riley. She's in a room. Her hands are strapped to the bed, and there's a baby monitor there. And the wife, who's the nurse, is looking at the baby, and the baby monitor is like, "Oh, it's a healthy baby." And she just like, "What am I doing here?" And she's like, "That's my baby." And Riley's realizing, okay, this woman kidnapped me to take my baby. The wife admits to killing Cheryl. They were either in on it together or knew the husband was going to do that, and said, she's like, well, why did you kill her? She says, I had to distract the police, give them a lead. So I'm like, okay, this is dangerous now because they're only going to keep Riley alive to take the baby. So you kind of realize like the couple's in it together for the baby. It's not about Riley, it's just about the baby. And then once Coulter and them get to the house, they getting, the husband is hiding in the woods or the forest and is like shooting at them. So they finally, obviously, they capture him, right? But in the police station in interrogation, he's not telling them where they are. Like, look, I'm doing this for my wife. You find out her name is not really her name, right? She has a record, and they really just want to have a baby. You also find in the backyard two graves. So they've had two miscarriages. So this family has gone through a lot, right? For any woman or any man who's been with a woman who's had a miscarriage, it's very heartbreaking. And I've been through it personally, and it is heartbreaking. You see people who have 10 kids, you see people who have one kid, you see people who have to adopt or have to go through another means. So children are precious. Not everybody can have them as easily as other people. So miscarriages are very painful. Like I said, I can say from personal experience. So for to see the history of the Harpers, that they've been trying to get pregnant, they've gone on IVF, they've tried all these things, and they just can't have a child full term. So it's definitely, I understand how hard that would be, but at the same time, like kidnapping, killing people just to get somebody's baby is out there. That's a little, too far. But that's pretty much what it's showing is it's what's happening here. So they go to the house, they don't find them. the husband is not giving them up. Like he refuses to tell them where they are. When they leave the house, Coulter sees a part of the roof and he's like, he's in construction. He can make a room and hide it. So they go back in, they find the hidden room, and they find her and Riley, the same room we saw before where she's chained to the bed. They arrest the wife. And of course, they have the husband already in custody, so they've arrested both of them. Riley reunites with her mom, and her mom says, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be upset with you," and she apologizes. I didn't tell you about the pregnancy, and they kind of have this sweet moment, right? Making up, right? Next week, the previews for next week, I have to say, are exciting because we see Rennie again. Of course, I love Rennie, but she gets kidnapped as part of the case. So that's going to be interesting. Coulter is chasing somebody and then they capture Rennie apparently. So that's exciting for next week. So I'm excited about that new episode. But I like the way this episode ended, right? She's reunited, she's pregnant, and you find the father of the child was not involved. He is married with children, so he can't be in Riley's life, but he wants to financially support the baby. So, I mean, yes, he cheated on his wife with Riley, but he's manning up and wants to take care of the child. So, to me, that's responsible. The best you can ask for in that situation, I would say. But it kind of had me guessing. Like I say, from the very first scene we met her, I knew Cheryl was a little off. And we find, she was in love with Riley, but she didn't commit suicide. They killed her. They just staged that. And she was the one who told him about the pregnancy. So she told her friends that, Riley was pregnant. She didn't want the child. She was kind of going back and forth. And so that's why she was like, look, I can't have children. You don't want your baby. I'm going to be a better mother than you. I'm going to take the child. So in her twisted mind, she was thinking what she was doing best because they wanted a child. So I think this is just a sad case because I think a lot of people can't have children and it's just that's all they want and that becomes their main focus. So I say this out to everybody who has children or is pregnant or planning to conceive. I mean, don't take it for granted. Children are precious, but you have to, acknowledge not everybody can have children. And this, couple was so driven on having children that they didn't care what happened in the wake. They wanted a child so bad. And it's just sad that that situation happened, that Cheryl had to die because of it, because, right, they staged that. I'm glad, they're behind bars and I'm glad they're captured because who knows what length they would have gone. I'm assuming they would have killed Riley once they had the baby because they didn't need her. So if you have children, give them a hug and a kiss. Be grateful for the children that you have because it is difficult for a lot of couples and people out there. So I did really enjoy this episode. It had me guessing, and again, it makes you grateful for what you do have. So I hope you enjoyed my review. I'm looking forward to next week because it seems really exciting and interesting. So if you have any comments, you can leave them below, and I will see you then. Bye.